Jeff Brazier has revealed how, in moments of grief, his two sons with the late Jade Goody have told him they wish he was dead rather than her, but he understands it was never intended to hurt him. The television presenter turned grief counselor, 38, has spoken candidly about how Bobby, 13, and Freddie, 12, have dealt with the loss of their mother Jade, who passed away in 2009 following a battle with cervical cancer. Discussing the grieving process the boys have gone through, Jeff said, "The worst possible thing I've heard from both boys would be, 'I wish it was you that was dead and not Mum.' However, he knows it wasn't said to hurt him and was instead a cry for help. My expectation was always that they'd take things out on me, but I didn't know to what extent. I didn't know as they grew older what would be possible to come out of their mouths," he told The Sun. "Grief generates the worst possible feelings. It really clouds your judgment," he explained. "The words they come out with they're not always in control of, and they're just saying them because what they're actually trying to say is, 'Dad, help me.'" His sons were just 4 and 5 years old when Jade passed away. Jeff has raised the boys largely out of the limelight and used his experience as a single dad coping with grief and loss to help other people in a similar situation. He has discussed his experiences in a book called The Grief Survival Guide, How to Navigate Loss and All That Comes With It. In a recent interview with Daily Mail, he said, "When they say to you, 'I wish you were dead and not Mummy,' there's not a lot that can save you from being utterly knocked out. But as emotions simmer down, you realize that none of that is ever meant to hurt me. It is always to show me how hurt they are." He also spoke about the moment he had to break the news of Jade's death to their children. "I knew I had to be the one to tell Bobby and Freddie, but I wasn't sure how to do it," he said. "I waited until bedtime and called them outside. In the end, I didn't have to say anything because the stars were out and they said, 'Is that one Mummy?' They knew." Speaking about why he decided to raise his kids away from the spotlight, Jeff said recently, "They understand fame well enough to know that I made them unfamous. It was quite amusing when Bobby first said that. It's hard for them to quantify the immeasurable difference me keeping them in the magazines and on the TV over the last 8 years would have had on their sense of reality and their ability to come to terms with their loss. Maybe it would have been fine for us to do so, but I wasn't willing to gamble on their childhoods." Jeff's book about handling grief was published shortly after the 8th anniversary of Jade's death. She became a household name following her star appearance in Big Brother back in 2002, and is often cited as one of the first reality stars to ever achieve huge fame. Jade's cancer diagnosis was confirmed in 2008 while she appeared on the Indian version of Big Brother, and she became a vocal champion of the importance of cervical smears, using her final months to raise awareness of spotting the symptoms of cervical cancer. She died on Mother's Day 2009. "Writing this book has brought me a privileged view not only of grief in its entirety but how we react as humans when processing loss," Jeff said. "There's the value of grief which differs from one person to the next. Then vitally, there's what we personally add to it or what the grief combines with that ultimately decides which journey throughout grief we experience.